Some seniors and older adults are very anxious about COVID-19, so some senior living communities and centers are working hard to keep them engaged and connected while at home.
We call it the Tina Turner.
These are the kind of moves you'll see during James Harris and Gloria Rentrope's exercise sessions on Facebook Live. The 73 and 74-year-old fitness instructors at Durham Center for Senior Life have moved their workouts online 3 days a week, 9:30 a.m. sharp.
8, 9, and 10.
During the coronavirus pandemic, this helps their 60-member class stay fit during North Carolina's stay-at-home order. Monday's session reached 1,000 views.
This is our second week, and as we're getting into it, I'm kind of thinking about, they may not be here physically, but they're out there watching.
We just have fun doing it.
Donated food from local churches, businesses, and organizations are dropped off daily and given to seniors curbside.
Thank you so much.
Another effort to keep this group safe.
If I go to the store, I'm so conscious of people around me, conscious of where I've been.
I kind of felt safer when I was in Vietnam than I do right now.
The center also creates thoughtful, encouraging social media posts and tips. The executive director, Shanye Rains, says they had to do something when one member said self-isolation was becoming too difficult.
Depression kicked in on the day he realized he couldn't go to church.
Social distancing also playing out at the Cardinal Senior Living Center in North Hills. Seniors raising the flag while some covered their hearts while singing the national anthem from their balconies.
I think this was an easy way to get everyone involved and excited, and it's been a big hit.
And then there's this. Staff at Cardinal creating this special space where residents can call their loved ones and physically see them through a window. Staff here at the Center for Senior Life also have a support line for seniors who just need to call and talk to someone. Tim Pulliam, ABC 11, Eyewitness News.
The roof at that hinge up there ripped off the shingle.
Tony Jeffries tells me there was flooding on the first and second floors.
It'll all come out. It's just material things.
He spent the last year repairing the home from Hurricane Florence's wrath.
I don't know if there was a roof in this area that wasn't damaged.
The work quite literally just wrapped up, and it comes as Dorian is making its way to the Carolina coast.
This weekend we were down, my wife and I just finished one of the bathrooms. So initially, yes. Now we did a little bit more, but yes, I just got done from what was damaged last year.
Red flags are waving along the shoreline. Some stores are already closed, and a few hotels are calling people to cancel reservations. The governor has issued mandatory evacuations for all barrier islands. If the winds get too high, officials will limit access to Atlantic Beach. Only emergency personnel, fuel providers, residents, and restoration crews will be allowed to go over the bridge. As Tony leaves ahead of the storm,
Be safe.
his biggest worry is not necessarily the newly restored house.
I'm more concerned with some folks that don't leave. Like I know the fellow there stayed for Florence, and I think this fellow Ray stayed for Florence.
COVID cases among kids recently rising. The state warning of a cluster at the Kiddie Academy of Briar Creek, a Raleigh daycare center, putting parents on notice there's been a dramatic uptick in the number of COVID cases in child care center settings within the last 2 weeks. CDC officials are suggesting that kids 12 and younger could roll up their sleeves and get the shot by midwinter.
Yeah, of course. I want him to be safe.
Some parents are on board.
I trust our pediatrician, so if they are recommending it and feel it's safe, then we'll consider it.
Others not open to the idea.
I just think it's still pretty new and early, and I'd kind of like to see some more information and testing done on it first beforehand.
Duke Health is enrolled in the nation's first vaccine clinical trial for children under the age of 12. Pediatrician Dr. Tony Moody is a part of the effort. He couldn't get into specifics since the work is ongoing, but tells me they're still recruiting participants and expects enrollment to conclude within the next few weeks.
There's obviously in the Triangle, there's a lot of interest. You have a lot of parents who are very interested in enrolling their children. So things have been going quite well.
He has participated himself in a vaccine trial last fall at UNC and assures steps are not being skipped in the trial for kids.
FDA is not going to cut any corners on this, but they are going to move as quickly as is reasonable. I think the midwinter timeline that has been proposed is reasonable.
Let's start right here at the Atlantic Beach Fire Department. You know, 16 of their guys stayed inside of this building as Hurricane Florence was bearing down. The winds so strong it collapsed in bay windows and actually vibrated out bolts from the ceiling.
Right now it's sitting on gravity. We still got repairs there to make, but the roof has been recovered.
Up the spiral staircase, the devious efforts of Florence revealed.
This is still left over that we haven't replaced yet.
The cost of Hurricane Florence to Atlantic Beach, a place that's roughly 5 square miles, some $11 million. And you remember the specific store on Fort Macon Road?
As you can see right here, we have businesses also that took significant damage.
Well, it's now open and ready for business. At Bogue Shores, the roof is missing, but this isn't from Florence. This is, actually. What you see behind me is from Hurricane Dorian.
We're at Bogue Shores. That is the roof.
The Oceana Pier has been rebuilt, but it's still without its gazebo, and courtesy of Florence, it's over 280 feet shorter.
A lot of it had to be restabilized, new deck boards and bracing.
You'll remember chunks of that pier was right here at Circle Beach. That's almost a mile away.
It was in the water, in the water.
Yes, a lot has changed in those 365 days since Hurricane Florence hit AB, but there's one thing I'd venture to say that hasn't. You know, this is the very spot that Chief Adam Snyder, the late Chief Adam Snyder, took us to just days after Hurricane Florence. I think he would agree with what the Chief Mike Simpson, has to say about Atlantic Beach. This is home.
This is the cost of living on the coast.
You just got to find where you love, where you want to be, and you got to, just like a marriage, you got to take the good with the bad, and it's not all that bad.
In Atlantic Beach, Julie Wilson, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Sounded like a bomb boom, and I ran to my kitchen window, and I said, oh no.
It was about 7:30 last night when 2 cars violently hit each other head on. Both vehicles mangled and the drivers killed. Highway Patrol believes speed and alcohol were a factor when 4th grade East Gardner Elementary School teacher Lauren Stewart crashed her car into a Suburban on Jones Sausage Road. She died at the scene. Calvin Stewart was in the other car. There's no relation between the two. First responders pried the 53-year-old out of the driver's seat, and he passed away at the hospital. Stewart had several passengers in his SUV, including an infant. They were all taken to the hospital and have non-life-threatening injuries.
It's a sad thing that this had to happen. A young person or anyone lose their life on this. But people that are speeding down the road.
This eyewitness says there was another serious wreck here about 3 weeks ago, and speeding has long been a problem. She sent authorities a letter recently begging them to lower the speed limit.
All through the night, you can hear noise, people racing.
A man who works in the area has the same concerns.
Just being out here, just cutting the grass, it's so many accidents that I see at like just about a rear end or two every day. So, I mean, it's common.
It's America's worst nightmare. The power is out. Buildings leveled. Cars crushed. Debris is everywhere. Muscatatuck has been hit by a nuclear bomb. Thankfully, it's just a training exercise.
We planned for how we would actually react to a real-world event.
And the Muscatatuck Urban Training Facility is as real as it gets.
It gives us an identity of the complexity. I mean, because if you think about it, you know, it's America's worst day.
In this case, Fort Bragg's 16th Military Police Brigade deployed within 24 hours.
Right now, we are self-sustaining, but you're seeing the logistics roll in.
From food and water to convoys and communications.
The big screen that we're setting up, that allows our commander to do digital tracking of everything that's going on.
Logistics is the first and most important step in this recovery process.
We're very adept at deploying overseas and how we interact over there, but when we are here in CONUS, like the continental United States, we have to know who we talk to, how we get things.
Even if it's improbable, the level of damage and the cost in terms of lives and destruction of property would be so great the sooner we can get in a contingency force to help out with that, we get to mitigate some of that loss, whether it's human suffering, lives, or property.